So I'm glad you're here today, and welcome to this meetup where you learn to build your own chatbot with a smart AI assistant. So as introduced, I'm Victor Mason. I'm Chief Data Scientist in Ibm Cloud, and I have a focus on data and artificial intelligence, and I'm part of the Nordic Minimal Viable Product Team, MVP team. I'll provide a background and an introduction to the Watson Assistant concepts, and supported by the Watson AI capabilities that my colleague Tal Neeman, he will demonstrate how you can create a chatbot. So first, this short introduction here. So first of all, if we look at a survey done by Gartner, then according to the survey last year, to the CIO agenda survey, then about 30% of enterprise CIOs, they have already deployed conversational platforms. So this represents almost 50% year-over-year growth in interest, and it points to that conversational platforms, they are really taking the center stage in how enterprises, they adopt AI. So a main reason for this high year-over-year growth in the interest of conversational platform, that is, as you see here, that is that more than 90% of customers, those who are unhappy with a brand, they will leave without complaining. That's basically how it is. And that you see here, 72% of consumers, they see that having to explain their issue again and again, that is to multiple people, that's just poor customer service. And the 2/3 of customer churn, that is preventable if the issues could be resolved already the first time. So this is just like a more or less like a horror example here. So this is so as you see in this example, it may be difficult to get a clear overview of how you may most easily get help. And typically you have to scroll down to to all the bottom of a page to find out where you can get more help. All in all, this just help getting a feeling of frustration. This should just be much easier. So that leads me to the next point here. So how can you deliver a smart customer experience? So let's take a look here at the Watson Assistant. So this diagram, this illustrates how the product delivers like an omni-channel customer experience. So the customer interacts with the assistant, but interact with the assistant with one of more of these integration points, as you see here. There's a virtual assistant that you can publish directly to an existing social media messaging platform like Slack or Facebook Messenger. There's also a web chat that you can embed in your company website that can answer customer questions directly and can transfer complex requests to a customer support agent if when that's needed. And you can also develop a custom application like a mobile app or a robot with a voice interface if that's how you want to interact. And but all in all, the Watson Assistant, the assistant receives the user input and then routes it to the dialogue skill. And the dialogue skill that interprets the user input further and then directs the flow of the conversation. So the dialogue then can gather any information that it needs to respond or perform a transaction on the user's behalf. Now, any questions that cannot be answered by the dialogue skill, they are then sent to the search skill, as just shown here. And that finds the relevant answers by searching the company knowledge bases that you can configure for this purpose. And if the request is too complex for Watson Discover to handle this, then it can be rerouted to the right human agent. And in the meantime, it can continue to self-service while the customer waits for the agent's response. So let's take a brief look at why we believe that the Watson Assistant is so good, and also because it has won some prizes. But let's take a look at some of the market differentiation. It's really a low-code platform, and as Tal, he will show how easy it is actually to quickly be able to build and deploy an AI assistant. And it's powered, as it says here, by best-in-the-class natural language understanding. And the last thing I will point out from this slide is that it can be deployed anywhere. And I mean deployed on any cloud. It can be on IBM Cloud, on Amazon, on Google, or Microsoft. Or if you prefer complete control and isolation, then you can deploy the Watson Assistant in your private cloud or on-prem. And very important to IBM, it's very important that you own the insights. You own the insights. We don't use your intellectual property or insights to improve other implementations. Now, an award we are very, very proud of, this is the API Awards from API World. This is the world's largest vendor-neutral API conference and expo. And here they have awarded the IBM Watson Conversational Service in the Enterprise API Award category. Now the assistant is not is something that's being used by multiple thousands of companies around the world. And here you see many companies that I'm pretty sure, some of the larger ones that I'm sure that you recognize several of these. And a very I think a very exciting, perhaps unusual example is here that you see to the left. To the left is the so-called Simon 2, like an abbreviation for the Crew Interactive Mobile Companion. So this has mastered its debut on the International Space Station. So powered by the IBM Watson technologies, then this AI-powered astronaut assistant that is has successfully completed like the next step in its research on the effects of stress and isolation during long-term missions. So even in space, Watson assistant is there. I provide some existence here from some examples here from the Nordics. Here in Denmark, then Industriens Pension. This is a labor market pension scheme for Danish industrial employees. They were seeking to continuously improve the advisory service and overall customer experience. And then with this Roberta a chatbot, they can now serve the customers 24/7 when and where needed. And it's of course trained on relevant pension topics. And it's available both on mobile and on web. Now, another example from the Nordics is in Finland with the OP Financial Groups, and they were seeking to enhance customer experience in a scalable way with an AI-powered chatbot. So they were really looking, as it says here, they're really looking to scale the service to support thousands of users per day, and they work together with us to have this chatbot that can converse with customers in Finnish and then provide helpful insurance advice and so forth. And they have said themselves, OP, that when we rolled out the chatbot to our customers, it outperformed our targets by a huge margin. And the rate of automation was more than double of what they had expected. And this contributes to the accelerated rate to a return on investment that they experienced. Now, so now I'll switch to a brief introduction to some of the fundamental concepts and key features that are powering Watson Assistant. So first of all, there's natural language understanding. So here you see a sentence to the left. I'm frustrated. I haven't been able to log in into your online billing system. I will explain these different topics on the next slide, but here very briefly. So the intent here is this is a password reset. This is what the customer wants. The entity that this is dealing with, this is the online billing system, and the tone. And the tone that is interpreted here is like an anger. And you can see from the context, this is from a mobile app, and this is a member, it's a gold member. This is Bill Smith, 47 years old. So Watson Assistant is intent driven. It's not rules driven, because when you have handcrafted rules, that's very difficult to scale and does not benefit from all the data. And this leverages state-of-the-art deep learning, natural language understanding techniques to derive the intent. And so also this can learn over time based on usage. I'll come back to this a bit later. So let's take a look here at intent. So conversation use intent classification to determine the meaning of an utterance. As it says here, this is the action that a user wants to take. So you can say this is a label for a group of example of things that a user he might want to communicate, a specific goal or idea. So as it says here, this is a deep learning state-of-the-art classifier that wants to understand the intent behind what a user is saying, behind a user's utterance. So here, so what I want to just point out here is, for instance, here as it says here, you provide multiple end-user examples with the same intent, and they should be clustered together. Because if you don't cluster good together, that will cause problems when you do machine learning. So if we look at an example here in this small table, you see the second row with the insurance cancel policy. Then you see here with the examples, you have multiple end user examples with the same intent. And you group them together because they all have the same intent about cancel a policy. If we turn to entities, then entity extraction, that is used to understand the object of the utterance. So these are objects that the user wants to take an action on. So here you see some examples also. That the entities, this is the way that the Watson responds. So where is the pool? What the entity does is, the entity is just the pool. Or if I need to reset my password to my email, then the entity is email. And the intent, and the entities in the user's input, that is determined by two evaluation methods. One is a dictionary based, And this is where the server looks for terms in the user input that match the values or synonyms that you define, like more explicitly. But there's also a contextual method. And this is where the service is trained to detect the entity and based on a confidence score can identify an entity based on how it's used in the user input. If we take a look at the dialogue, then this is how you plan out the conversational flow that you would like to have with your end users. So this uses the intent and intensities that are identified in the user's input, plus concept from the application. Is it a mobile app? Is it a web or so forth? And that way to interact with the user with the aim of providing a response. And this allows users to quickly, as it says here, and easily analyze and understand the conversational flow. And you can create branches. You can create branches for each intent. As it says also in each node, the matching conditions are entered based on these intents and entities. And you can create one or more responses that can be provided based on these conditions and so forth. Now we take a look at the web chat here. Then normally when you build a web chat, a chat interface, they can take a long time, especially if you want to create a meaningful experience. But here what we provide out of the box, or you may say embedded with our best practices, is something that can be deployed just in a few minutes or just in minutes. So and we can also seamlessly hand over to an agent, and also have some additional features of secure login and visual customization. What I think is actually also very interesting and very useful is this ambiguation. So this ambiguation is that Watson Assistant doesn't just jump to conclusion. So whenever the user provides something that is ambiguous, then Watson Assistant asks to clarify so it can provide the correct answer. So as you see on the example to the right, then the only thing the user has provided so far is I'm traveling. Okay, so what exactly is it that you would like to have an answer on? So this is why it's trying to clarify, are you looking for travel tips? Are you looking to set up a travel alert, for instance? And that way, Watson Assistant can provide a better answer. I also mentioned the search skill. So this is when a dialogue is not enough to just answer questions, then it can go back and then check whatever answers might be in the existing content that is in your organization. And it can even find answers from disparate sources of self-service that you have. So here you see two different answers to a question because it might be different so there are different answers so the user can see, okay, is this answer more relevant for me or is the other one more relevant for me? And then also, as I mentioned, there's agent handoff, so it can reroute to the right human agent as required, because Watson Assistant has built-in integrations to hand the conversations off to live agents like Salesforce, Zendesk, Intercom, Facebook, Messenger, Slack, and so forth. And this is done on a no-code integration basis. So even after the handoff is initiated, the Watson Assistant will continue to answer the customer's questions while the customer waits for an agent's response. Now, one thing I also want to mention, I think is very interesting, is the analytics part. So you can look at the analytics and then you can analyze previous conversations and also look at the performance. So Watson Assistant is provided with an easy-to-use analytics dashboard. So you can analyze and visualize trends in your user metadata, and then you can take actions where needed. As you can see on the next example here, with the intent recommendations, then it's here where we really use AI for continuous learning. So as it says here, then Watson helps you find the intent that your users need most by grouping the most common and similar user experiences. So that way, Watson Assistant can help you determine what intents you should add to a virtual assistant that is not covered currently by providing a set of recommendations. And then you can direct the Watson Assistant to provide these recommendations, either by pointing it at an existing virtual agent that has a good history of conversations with users, or you can upload CSV file with historical conversations. Now, I encourage you all to try Watson Assistant out here on this link. But now I will hand the word over to Tal that will demonstrate Watson Assistant. Thank you.
Hey everyone, hey, welcome. Thank you for joining. Before I start the workshop, I have a link that I will share with you. This is the link to the workshop, so you will have it. And before I start, I want to just say a few words about some competition that we have in IBM. Really few words, like 3 minutes about Code for Code. I will explain briefly and we'll jump into the workshop. So this is something that you might want to hear about, and this is a great challenge that we are doing in IBM. But before I just introduce myself, my name is Tal. I'm a developer advocate at IBM. I usually lecture in meetups and participate as mentor in hackathons or just having fun in awesome webinars like this. I write some articles or tutorials about open source, usually, mostly in the container area and other cloud technologies, and also about AI and conversation stuff like we have here today. So this is basically my job. And we have this great website that we'll use today, which is called developer.ibm.com, which is the developer website of IBM, where we have all the content that we create, like all my articles and tutorials and others in my team, in the worldwide team, also already there. So you can, if you want to learn about something new, you can go there and try to learn about something new, whatever you would like to learn. And also our workshop today is from there. So you will see it in a few seconds. But as I said, I will just say a few words about Code for Code. So basically, Code for Code is a competition that IBM is leading with all of our partners, as you can see in the screen below. You have the UN, we have the Linux Foundation, we have David Cloud Cause, we have IBM and many other Red Cross and others that also participating with us and try to build something great for the society. And basically, what we are trying to do, we're trying to empower developers and give them the power to build and change something in the world. If it's a little bit of change, at least something that we want them to do. And what we mean, we try to give them a challenge that we think that can help somewhere in the world, usually around natural disasters and COVID as well. And this year is about climate change. So we try to give them some challenge that we think that might be help for the society, for some humanitarian challenges. And hopefully the developers will respond and try to create something by themselves and build a solution to help us with this challenge. So we have like a timeline. I won't go through the timeline, but we started from 2018, which was the first Code for Code challenge, and now we are in 2021. We are on the fourth one. And this one is also the same as the others. We are looking for a climate change solution around different topics, and I will give you some link to the Code for Code competition as well. And I just want to tell you why you would like to join, because I talked about competition, but I didn't give you any benefits from it. So the benefits are, first, you will join a community. You can learn from mentors. We have mentors in the Slack that you can learn from. You can ask questions, you can build your team and do great stuff. You can do some social good stuff. So this is something great. You will have the ability to skill building if you will try to build some solution and you're new to some of the technologies and you would like to learn more. So we have some open source technology tutorials, as we always have, and mentors that can help you build some skills around those solutions. And of course, there is a grand prize of $2,000, so $2,100 So it's a really grand prize, and we have also small prizes. It depends on where you're at. We have area prizes like continent prizes, but it doesn't really matter. The grand prize is really big, and if you will be one of the top 3 or top 4 solutions that will win, you might win some kind of a prize like you see here. And this is why I encourage you to join Code for Code, basically. So this is, I think I'm done with my 2 or 3 minutes about Code for Code, and I hope you will join us. And I just want to mention that you have until the end of July. This is when the submission closes. So make sure if you want to join, do it quickly as possible. You have like a month. So this is enough time, but it's not that much. So if you would like to join us, feel free. Links for the Code for Code are in the GitHub that I just sent in the chat. So if there is any questions, guys, I see that also someone already pasted the Code for Code link in the chat. So great, thank you. Thank you, Christian. Also, if you have any questions, guys, please try to chat, to write it in the chat, or just unmute yourself and ask. any question that you have. I will try to answer. It's better that I will answer during the session because we have like 1.5 hours ahead of us at least. So if I will just go and do everything straight and then you will ask me something that I did in the beginning, it will be hard for me to answer. I can answer the question, but it will be a bit harder, and it's better if you will ask me during the session. So make sure if you can, and just ask the question and feel free to join and make a conversation with me. It's okay. So as I said, we have the link to the GitHub. This is the GitHub that I will use today. I will just explore what we have here. We have first, we have the README file, which is the tutorial itself, and some examples that we will use today. This is just something that I added to so we can use later on the chatbot. I will explain you everything you need to know. Don't worry. It seems a little bit weird, but I will help you do this. Not a problem. We have the link to the IBM Cloud. So if you need to register to the IBM Cloud, make sure you create your own account. This is the link to registration. It takes like a minute or two. So do it now before we start. And the call for code links are here. And of course, the tutorial links as well is right here. One more thing that you would like to use, actually two more things that you would like to use. There is a cheat sheet here. Basically, we need to copy and paste some credentials during the workshop. So we need some API keys and some URLs or something that we need to copy and paste from one place to another. So I find it usually easier to have some TXT file that I copy everything to this file, and then I can copy from this file to other places and not be lost and open many tabs of IBM Cloud tabs that I'm just trying to find which tab I'm in. So it really be easier for you guys to find where your credentials are. And also we have this JSON, which is basically the skill that we will teach the chatbot today. So this is something that we won't start from a blank chatbot. We start from something that I already, not me, but we all at IBM, we already created something for COVID. It will be some starting point, and we will add more skills, more intents, more entities, as Victor mentioned, to the chatbot. And of course, see how it works and connect this chatbot to many other things during the workshop. So I hope you have a great time. Even if you don't want to do the workshop with me, you can just stay and listen and watch what I'm doing. It's great as well. So feel free just to listen and watch. I hope you have a great time. So if you didn't, I hope you already registered to the IBM Cloud. As I said, it takes a minute to do it. And after you register to the IBM Cloud, you just need to click on the tutorial link over here, and you will be moved to this website. Let me scroll up, which is the developer.ibm.com website. And this is the crisis communication chatbot. And we will connect it today to some COVID data sources and some news. I will explain how we will connect it today. And of course, we will use some extra abilities on the IBM Cloud and some cool features. And I hope you will find them very interesting. And all you need to do, as I said, not just need to create the IBM Cloud account. So I'm gonna just, everything you need is here, but I'm not gonna follow it step by step because I already know how the workshops need to be. But if you don't follow me now, make sure you can make sure that everything that I do already here, already right down here, so you can do it after that offline if you would like. It's totally fine. Just listen to me now if you would like as well. So to start the workshop, we need to be in the IBM Cloud. So as you can see here, I just moved to the IBM Cloud.com, cloud.ibm.com, sorry. And here is my IBM Cloud, my account. If you have an account, so you should be here after you registered, and your account should be empty because you don't have any services yet, you didn't create anything. Just a brief intro, what you see here, basically you have some quick starts here that you can use, like how to create an application, how you create a custom dashboard, explore tutorials, everything you can find here, which just for quick start on IBM Cloud, which takes, as you can see, 5, 3, 10 minutes, but it's not related to our session today. And you have summary, resource summary, and everything that you need about like user access or status of services, if they are down or not. So you can see everything on the dashboard. From the left side, you can see there is a navigation menu here. You can use it to navigate through different topics. And one of the main topics that we will use today is Watson, which is the AI behind this is the main services of the AI of IBM. So everything that related to Watson is probably some AI or machine learning service. So this is what we will use today. And we can also use the catalog to create the services. So we can use this menu to create the services, but they can also create from the catalog itself. So depends which one you prefer, doesn't really matter. If I click on the catalog right here and select the services, and then select the AI machine learning services, as you can see, and there are most of them called Watson something, but if not Watson, it just tell us what this service does, like language translator, if we have NLU, like natural language understanding, speech to text, text to speech, many different types of services that give us some AI or machine learning advantage, and we can use them for everything we want. But today, as I said, we will focus on the Watson Assistant. So this is a service we want to create. We also will focus on one other service, which is called the Watson Discovery, which is right here. If you remember in Victor's presentation, he said something about search skill. We have the dialogue skill and we have the search skill. So the dialogue skill will be handling something that we call short tail questions, like something that the customer will ask, and usually will ask in like short questions, like what can I do, or what is COVID, or depends on what we want to ask. And the discovery is more about like a search engine. It can help us like search on different types of documents using some kind of long tail questions. And I will explain what is short and long tail in a few seconds, but also just make sure that you know that those are the services we will create today. So the first one, as I said, Watson Assistant. So I just click on the service. And as you can see, I can select the location. I prefer to stay in London because this is the default one for me. And we have like a pricing plan here. You can try the trial one if you would like. It's for 13 days to give you a bit more resources, but it doesn't really matter. I will use the light one because, as I said, it doesn't really matter for the session today. And we have also, of course, a paying customer that would like to use the Enterprise and Plus plans because it's providing more capabilities. But as I said, Lite is free and you don't need to use any credit card here. As I didn't mention it, but when you register to the IBM Cloud, you don't need to put any credit card unless you want to use some services that cost money. So for now, just create the free plan and just click create over here. And once you click on the creation button, it will take a few seconds and it will redirect you to another page, which is the service landing page. And from here, basically what we need to do, we just need to launch the Watson Assistant right here. So right now we created the Watson Assistant service, and we can do anything with the assistant service through the API. If I want, you have like the API reference, which is calls that I can do from another application. But I can use also, there is a really nice and user-friendly UI that I can use, and which is right under here. Like if you click the launch Watson Assistant, you will be also redirected to a great UI that we will use today most of the time to understand and learn how this service works. Okay, so as you can see, I already have my first assistance. It takes me to the skills, like it already created me some assistance and a skill. So I will have something that I can start with, but I won't use them. I will use something else because I have my own skill that I want to import. But just in 1 second, we'll start to understand what is going on. Because as I said, Victor mentioned a lot of great things that we can do, and we can do a lot of great things with the service. And we have a lot of benefits, and we have a lot of capabilities and features that you can use and make the chatbot a great chatbot. But it starts from somewhere. We need to start from like somewhere at the beginning and understand what we are doing, and then like build up our chatbot and grow. So this is what we will try to do here. I hope we will make it, we will do it great. So as I said, we want to create the assistant service, but we also want to create the discovery service now, because discovery service takes a few more minutes to create. Like if we will just wait for the creation of discovery service, it can take like up to 5 minutes. So let's do it before. We don't need to use it now, but I want to just create it before we really need to use it, because other than that, we need to wait for the discovery service a few minutes. So how we create the discovery service? Exactly the same, like we did it with the Water Assistant. We click on the catalog, we click on the services on the left side, on the AI machine learning, we scroll down a bit, and we have the Watson Discovery service here. So I click on the Discovery service, I click on same location, of course, London, and I have free tier here, and I just click create. As you can see, I will get a message. The discovery service takes time to provision. So not like Watson Assistant that just created instantly, this one takes more time. So this is why I encourage you to create it now and not wait till we need to use it, because after that it will take you just more time and will just slow your progress then. So let's start understand what is Watson Assistant and how we can use it. And after that, we'll connect it to everything that we want. So we have the assistant. As you can see, we have like the navigation menu already here. We have assistant and we have skills. Each assistant can have many skills, and each skill can be implemented in each assistant. Like it's many to many connection. Like I can have many assistants on different topics, but they might use the same skill, like skill that need to be similar to all of them. Like if I want to have a skill that enable to deliver the message to a human agent, something like that, you can, you can like switch between skills during the conversation. And this is something that's really cool, because I have assistants with skills. Like I have if it's assistants for a doctor, which need to create an appointment or even some medical treatment to patients, or if it's assistant to a restaurant and just need to create like schedule seats or whatever that I want to like to do, or order a pizza or whatever. So I can make assistants for everything, and each assistant will have different skills. So today we'll have only one assistant, and to create assistants, you just need to click on the assistants here and create a new assistant. I won't use this first assistant that just created for me. I will create a new one, and this one we will call the COVID crisis. I think I wrote it wrong. Communication, something like that, I think. Yeah, and that's it. I just call it like this because basically my chatbot is about how to help people in a crisis communication state during the COVID pandemic. So it was really useful like 1 year ago. Now it's a little bit less useful because most of us already got vaccinations or like we are already not under a lockdown and we can go to work. Some of us, not all of us, but and now there is a new type of COVID, the coronavirus. Like we have the Delta. So this chatbot was really useful like 1 year ago, and we will try to improve it and to make it better for today. And just we'll click on the create assistant, and we will just create this assistant for us. I see that we have a question. I think we have a question in the chat, but I can't open it. So Christian, if you can open and tell me what the question is.
It's actually a question for outside board. Someone asking, yes,
okay.
Will the recording of this be shared later? The answer is yes, it will be. Just keep an eye on your emails.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know why I can't see the Q&A, but I can see the chat. So if you have questions for me, make sure you write it in the chat. It will be better for me. And thank you, Christian. So let's go ahead. And after I created the assistant, as you can see here, like in kind of a landing page of my assistant, the COVID crisis communication assistant, and I can create an action or a dialogue skill, which are two different type of skills. But today we will learn more about the dialogue skill. We won't learn about the actions because it's a bit different and less, I would say, it's less time consuming. It's more easy to use, like you use every action to create a step in the dialogue, in the conversation, which is a bit different from what we are looking for today. So we're most focused on the dialogue. Dialogue skill is a bit more complex, but give us more variety of stuff to do and more features that we can use. So this is the best one. And as I said, we have the search skill that we can use over here, and we can connect this to discovery, but we will do some kind of workaround because this one is the plus plan, because we can't use it, we need to pay for it. But I made some a workaround using some kind of serverless function that I will explain everything that will when we will reach to this one. And we can do this kind of search skill using the workaround that I made and create connection directly to discovery service and other things. So I will show how we do it, of course, when we get to it. So let's add our first skill dialog. If we click here to add action or dialog skill, you will see we will have like a added action or dialog skill pop up, and we can like add existing skill that is just created for us. This is my first skill. It's empty one. You don't want to add this one. It's an empty skill. We can create a new skill from blank as well. We have many different languages that we can use for each of every skill. We can use a sample skill. We have like customer care sample skill if you would like to use it, but we can also upload a skill. And this is what we will do today, because as I said, I already made the chatbot for us, which is about COVID. And I want to use this chatbot and make it better during this workshop. So this is what we would like to do. So how we upload the skill. If you can see here on the GitHub, you have this JSON file, skill CDC COVID FAQ.json. So just you can download it as a zip file, extract the file in your computer, and then just drag and drop this JSON file. And this is exactly what I will do now. You can see it here. Oh, this is the Q&A. This is my JSON file. This is the same one. I just drag and drop, and here it is. I can upload it, and it will create my skill. You see skill uploaded successfully, and that's it. I have my skill now. This is my skill. You can see I have a dialogue skill. This is his name. I have 52 intents, which is a lot. Not very a lot, but you need to create. Think about it, that every intent need to have like at least 5 to 10 examples. So we have like between 200 to 500 examples, 200 to 500 examples over here that someone already insert, which is kind of a lot. Not as I said, not very huge, but it's something that we can work with. We have some intents, and we have 74 dialogue nodes, which is also many nodes because each node should connect us to different intents, and we need to discover and to make a flow for the conversation. And I will explain everything. I just want to make sure that everyone who is still following me and you doing the workshop with me have their assistant ready and have the skill ready to use. So if you don't, and you have any question and you lost me, you can ask it in the chat. Don't be afraid. I will try to explain more if needed as well. So if there are no questions for that, I will keep on. So we created our assistant. We have a dialogue skill that is ready to use. And to see the dialogue skill, I can just click on this box here. And once I click on the skill, you can see it moves me to the skills and open my skill that I just uploaded. So as you can see here, there is everything that Victor talked about before. We have the intents, we have the entities, we have the dialogue, we have the analytics, we have some kind of options that I will explain a bit more in a few minutes, what is inside of it. But we have many different, I would say, features, or I would say things we need to handle in order to make our chatbot great. So let's start with the intents. I won't go over all of those intents, of course, but I just mentioned like a few of them that can be informative. Let's say that I want to like have intent for greeting someone, say hello or hi or whatever you want to say to greet me. So I want to catch those kind of intents and understand that the user just started the conversation with me, or I can also start the conversation with him. Depends on how I build my application, but this is something else. But let's say that the user will start a conversation with me. So I click on the greetings. Let me do it again. You see here, I click on the greetings, and after I click on the greetings, I have the intent name. I can change it if I want. I won't, but I can't. If I want, I can. I have a description if I want to be more informative for myself to understand what the use of the intent. So I can write down here some description. I can add examples. As you can see here, I can just type and add the example. But there are already many examples like hello in many different languages. Hello, good morning, good evening. Hello, Watson. Hey there. Hi, hey. There are many different types of ways to say hello. And most of them are like in one word. And it's a bit difficult to make a machine learning model that can cover all the greetings possibilities. So it's better to add much more examples as you can. But this is a difficult intent because it's one word, it's different to understand how to detect it, the intent. If it's not exactly the same word, like if I want to write hey, write it a bit different. So we might think it's hey, but it could be interesting how the machine learning behind this product works, because it's not like looking for the text in the user conversation. It's looking for the text and compare it to a machine learning algorithm behind the scene that you don't see here because it's like under the hood and Watson do everything for you. Let's take another example. I hope it will be more easier to understand. Let's take about critical businesses. Okay, what is the critical businesses intent? What does it mean when I ask about critical businesses? I answer what to do after employee contracts COVID-19. Okay, so how do I find out if my business is considered essential? Like if I work in the supermarket or somewhere like this, so it's probably essential business. So if I ask about how do I find out if my business is considered essential, I basically ask about critical businesses. I ask something that's related to critical business. I have an intent of critical businesses, and all of those examples are a bit different, but they're all asking and have the same intent. And I can give basically the same answer for all of them. And of course, if I will also take those examples and write my next one, or the user that will use the chatbot will write his example a bit different, it will still be able to give me the critical businesses, because it makes the machine learning behind the scene and not just looking word by word if it's the same sentence. It's looking for the topic behind the scene. Like it takes the words, it's like make indexes, and it works really, really great. And you will see, you can try it by yourself, even in few minutes. So this is how intents works. As I said, we have the intents, we have the entities. The entities are a bit different. They more for like saving information or getting a specific information. Like, let's talk about location. So when I want to check if there is, we will do it in a few minutes also. We will check if there is any specific information about COVID in different places around the world. So I inserted all the different countries, locations, could also rename to countries around the world. And for each country, I will be able to understand what the number of cases of COVID are there, and how many deaths from COVID happen in the same location. So I need to find out the location inside my sentence. Like if I write if I ask the chatbot how many cases of COVID in, let's say in London or in UK or whatever, so I need to take the location and extract it and make sure I understand this is a location and use it as an entity and not part of the intent. This is also something that we can use. Something great that you can also use is phone numbers. If you're familiar with the US phone pattern, it looks like this. We have like 3 digits, dash, another 3 digits, dash, another 4 digits. This is how it works. So if I ask from the user, give me your phone number, and it won't match this pattern, I will ask him again until he write the phone number in the right way. So it depends, of course, wherever he lives. But if it's in the US, he should enter his phone number like this. So this is the type of entities we can use. There are many different entities you can use, and there are also something that we call system entities. As you can see, those are my entities. This is what I made. I need to add and create each entity by myself, but I also can use system entities. What are system entities? Basically, they help us to get entities about something that's already made for us. Let's say the easy one to take is the date. If I will turn this on, just like this, it's now part of my chatbot. Now I can use the Sysdate entity. What does it mean? It means if the user will say something that's related to date, like even day of the week, tomorrow, in 2 days, Friday, or a specific date, even if we will just write a specific date, I will be able to understand this is part of the conversation, but it's a date, and I will be able to extract it and make sure that I can do something with it. Even if it says like Friday, which is in 2 days from today, so I will be able to take the date of Friday and use the date itself. Okay, so this is something great we can use and leverage for ourselves. Also, also time. If you want to schedule a meeting, we can use time and date and use both of them to schedule a meeting in some date, in some time. So this is a great way to get something out of the box, which is really, really great. So I covered the intent part and the entities part, which is most of the parts that we need to provide information for the chatbot. And then after we will do it by ourselves in a few seconds. Of course, we will add some intents by ourselves. But after that, we need to add some dialogue nodes. We need to make the flow of the conversation. So this is a really big flow. So let me just focus on the first ones. Okay, it doesn't really matter how many you have, because it still go one by one, but it can jump from one to another and search for different types of nodes that we want to use. I will just try to explain everything during the session, but there are many things to learn here, because this is the complex part of the chatbot. This is how you make a great chatbot and how you can make a poor one. Like if you build a good dialogue and use the right features and the right intents for every part of the dialogue, it will be a great one and will make a great flow for your user. So let's say we have the first one, the node, something that we just set a confidence threshold. It's something that we did for ourselves. We can use some variables that if we're confident enough in this variable, like you can see here, something, if the greetings intents and the intents confidence is greater than 95%, this is 95% by the way, we can make sure that we will enter to this node. Okay, this is something that I won't focus much how it made, because it's a bit more advanced stuff, but I hope that after I will end everything that I want to share with you today, you will be able to understand more about what we did here. But basically what most of the important thing here, that we want to create a greeting node that if we recognize, you can see, we recognize an intent of greeting. So we want to go here and say, hello, I'm the crisis COVID communication chatbot, and I can answer some question about how can I help you. So this is the first node, and then I will wait for the user reply. So this is the first node, and if I will try the chatbot here, you can see you can ever try it here. This is what we will see the first time, and I have some kind of UI that I can check the chatbot and asking questions. Let me stop here. I will mention like a few more. We have goodbyes. You have let's go for an easy one. Should I wear a face mask? Okay. So if I have the intent of face mask and it's more than a low cost, just ignore this one for now. It's not really important for you. But if I have the intent of wearing a face mask, so I can say that this is my response to the wearing a face mask intent. And as I mentioned, all the intents are I just added here in the intents part, and then I will add my answer, and the user will be able to respond and ask me another question. So let me stop here for a second. I want to show you something else that we have. I go back to the assistant for a second, just for a really quick second, and I will click on my COVID crisis communication chatbot, and I want to create a preview chat. Okay, if I will click here, I will be able to create some kind of integration, and I will have a link. You can see there is a share link that I can share with you if you would like. So my link is in the chat. And if you click on this link, you will be able to chat with my chatbot. Even if you don't own the chatbot, this is the link that provides you the ability to chat with my chatbot. So let's test the chatbot. I mentioned this is a chatbot that it was pre-built for the COVID part, for the Corona part, like a year ago. So let's just test it and check what he knows. So if I can ask about, let's ask about children, because how COVID infect children, and he will say that based on the available evidence, children don't appear to be high risk, because this is something that I told him. One of the dialogue nodes are related to how children get infected and if they have any risk. So this is one node just found it and answered me the question that I just asked. Another thing that I can ask about critical businesses where should I go to work? That doesn't really matter if what I really ask, but should I go to work? Follow advice of your local health officials, stay at home if you can, talk to the employer. And basically this is like, I would say, an answer for everyone, because it's not a specific, every place have specific rules and not every place you can go to work. So it's something more like in higher level, but it gives like a more informative information for the user. And remember, we are in a crisis. We are now in a crisis, and we want to learn more about the COVID. I want to ask, like, if I have, what are the symptoms? If I have fever or something, I want to know if those are symptoms of a COVID. So if I ask what are the symptoms, it will give me the answer about it. But all of this that I just showed you, it's really, really easy, because what I just did, I created let's go back for a second to the skill. It will take a second. Oh, no, not this one. No. 1 second. Just click back. I did something wrong from my side. So what I just did here, like, let's take the symptoms part. Okay. So I asked what are the symptoms, and if you can see, I have symptoms. I have employees show symptoms, and I also have like symptoms and symptoms in children. So I have 3 intents which are related to symptoms, and each of them are a bit different. One is talking about employees. One is more talking about the symptoms themselves, like the concept of what are the symptoms for COVID. And the third one is about symptoms for children. So it could be different between my questions when I ask them. So I ask what are the symptoms. So it could be also for children, but he assumed it's not for children, because if I want to ask for children, I will add the word children, but it's okay. This is how it looks like. He found out what I need to do. So he found that this intent he recognized this intent, and in the dialogue, I have a node for symptoms, if it's for children's, and if it's for COVID, and my answer is just right here. As you can see, I just made an answer, depends on the intent, as I mentioned before. So this is how it works, basically. So let's do a different thing. Let's add our own intents and create our own entities, and be able to create a new chatbot, a new better chatbot for ourselves. So how we do that? I can go back to the intents. Let's go back. I will create a new intent. And I already made, as you can see here, I just copy paste because it's really easy. I have 3 examples. The first one is just an intent and a dialogue, which is very, very easy. It's just what I mentioned now. I can skip on that because it's not really, it's not interesting enough, the example. I think it's really, really simple, but I just, to understand, I just want to add, is there a vaccine for COVID? To ask a question like, this is the intent. If there is a vaccine for COVID, and there are many different type of questions that I can ask to get the answer for this question, and add a dialogue that if the chatbot recognizes this intent, I will respond with this answer. I have already made answer that there are different type of vaccines, and you can get each of them and everything. So this is a really simple one. I want to create a more complex question, which I will take the third example for now. This is the most complex one. So I want to show you how you can build like a complex question and dialogue together. So I will take the schedule vaccine. Like I want to do the vaccine. Let's say I didn't, but I did already. I want to schedule an appointment for the vaccine. I want to make sure I will get it right away. So if I will go back to the intent, I will paste the schedule vaccine intent, and I will create it. And now I need to add some examples. Okay, let's go back. Just copy and paste my examples because they are already made for you. Nothing you really need to do. It's really easy, just copy and paste. Let me do it quickly. And you need at least 5. This is the minimum. So this is why I have 5 here, but it's better to give him like between 10 to 20. I think this is something that the recommended thing, if I remember correctly, but 5 is the minimum. So you can create the intent. So now I have 5 examples of my intent, and like when I can get vaccinated, or where I can get, or please schedule a vaccine, and can I schedule a vaccine? Basically, those are the different types of intent examples that I can have here. So if I just go back, my intent is here, schedule a vaccine, and I don't have any description. It's okay. I have 5 examples, and it's ready to go. And I go to the dialogue. I want to now go to the dialogue and make a new node that will be able to understand and see if I use this intent. So I can just create here, add a node, but I want to create it in a specific space in my tree because I have a reason for it, because it's like it's organized alphabetically, or it's organized by the most asked question on top and least intents used on the bottom. So depends on how I organize my tree. I can do it in many ways. I want to add a node below. Add node below here. Doesn't really matter. It can be under this one and this one. Doesn't really matter well, but I just want to make sure that I have a good place in the middle for my node, and I will call him schedule vaccine. Oh, I forgot about. I wrote it wrongly. It's okay. Let me just. Oh, double C. Yeah, I forgot about it. It's okay. Let's go back. I'm in the dialogue. I go here again, and that's it. I'm fine. So I want to, if assistant recognize an intent. So my intent is schedule vaccine. This is my intent, right? I just made it. And if I did recognize this intent, I would like to ask the user two things: when and like what time and what date he would like to get the vaccine. Because I have like, I want to create like check if there is available time for it and tell him when you need to come to get a vaccine, right? So there are different types of ways to do this part of, but we have something that we call slots, which is really cool, and I will show you how you can use it. So I will click on the customize here. Where can I customize the node? This is the node. I can customize it by different ways. Like I can use multiple condition responses. Like I have a response for every condition, depends on the input. Okay. I have a call out for webhooks, which is something that we will use after we do this example. We will use this webhooks part, and we have something that's called digressions, which is basically help us get out from the node and back to the node if needed, depends on the user conversation. It's a bit difficult to understand, but it's something that really can help the conversation flow and be able to give the user a good experience. If you would like to, let's say if you ask something about a specific topic and then you start to ask him some question, but you want to get another answer about different topic and then go back to the main topic. Because like you can use this to manipulate the conversation, so the user can manipulate the conversation to the way he would like to make the flow. So this can help you with that. But as I said, I want to use something that calls slots, and I will just turn it on, and I will make him prompt for everything. It basically what it does, it gives me ability to ask question about different types of information that I need, and save this information in a variable. So now I'll be able to ask him about the time he would like to get the vaccine and about the date. And I clicked on prompt for everything because I want to make sure I will keep asking the question until it will fill all my slots, all my requests, my questions. So I will just make apply, and you can see my node changed a bit. Now it's a custom node. And then if I recognize this schedule vaccine, then check for. Okay. So what I would like to check for, I would like to check for a date. Okay. And as you can see, I made a mistake. Intents are in hashtag and entities are at. So if you like at Sysdate, you remember we turned it on. So I have it ready. Is it here? If I check for Sysdate, okay. If I see a date, so I can save it in this variable. But if I don't see a date, let me ask a question. I will ask the question, and the question is in my GitHub. And Sysdate, can you tell me what date you prefer to get the vaccine? Right? Just copy and paste, and that's it. And it's of course it's required. So now I have a slot. So every time I will ask to schedule a vaccine, I need to also give information about date, and now also about time. And I will add the time. I can add, if you can see, I can add condition and operators. Depends on what time. If it's greater than smaller, then it's important because I don't want to like create a time like in midnight or something like this. So I want to make sure the time is between like 8 to, I would say, 5 afternoon. So I can do this kind of operators here. But for now, let's say anytime, just for the example. And I will go back can you tell me what time you prefer? Just copy and, oops, not this one, and paste it over here. And that's it. Now I have two questions that I check for, and also I can, after I will get all the information I need, I can reply with text, like if I managed to schedule or didn't. So let's say I always can, I just for the sake of the convenience here, so I can always schedule the appointment successfully. Doesn't matter the time, doesn't matter the date. So just to make sure that we are understanding what we are doing, and just copy paste, great. You schedule the vaccine appointment successfully at date, on time, because I'm using what the user gave me on the input. I can use it in the answer itself. And how I use it, I use a $sign for that. So $sign, it's variables. As you can see here, let's delete it again. You have the hashtag for intents, at for entities, and the $sign for variables. And variables are what you want to enter. You can make any variable that you would like to add, many as you wish. It doesn't really matter. And if not, so oops, I made a mistake. If not, slots upper field, ask first. No, this is not what I want to ask. I want to edit here. Sorry. This is the assistant response after everything done here. You can delete this. It's okay. Just the response should be here. Assistant respond, not if no slots are perfect. I did a mistake here, but that's it basically. After I have all this information, I can try it out. I can even go back, refresh the page here, and you can also do it by yourself and use it to schedule vaccine, and it will ask me, can you tell me what date you prefer? Let's say tomorrow. And what time? 10 a.m. For some reason, I wanted 10 a.m. And he told me that tomorrow is the 1st of July, and 10 a.m. this is the time. It's great to schedule the appointment. And I also can do something more quick. Can I schedule the for tomorrow at, let's say, 5 p.m., something like this? As you can see, I already gave him all the information he need. I gave him the date, which is tomorrow, the time, which is 5 p.m., and he recognized the intent that I schedule a vaccine. So all of this together gave him the ability to just schedule the appointment. I don't need anything else. I don't need to ask any questions because all the information I need is here. And this is how we use intent in a good way and entities, and use them to make sure we know what the user asks for. So this is also a great example of how to use a chatbot right. So I hope we already covered many topics. We covered all the intent parts, all the entities, some of the dialogue parts, because there are many things about dialogue that we can add, but this is something that we won't be able to make today. We have something that's called Webhooks. We will now do it. And we have the options and some analytic parts that we want to also take care of. So before I do the analytics, before I do the webhooks, options, there is something really nice that we can get from the feature that we have here. If you click on the options, you can see we have a webhooks. We will get to this in a second. We have this ambiguation, which is great, and I want to share and turn it on in a few seconds, and you will see what it will do. We have the auto correction, which can help you autocorrect if I misspell something. So it will fix it, and the chatbot will try to understand the intent based on the correct word, not the incorrect. Because if I write something by mistake, or I even misspell something, so it will correct it, and then we try to find which intent I'm looking for. Irrelevance detection, I can tell the chatbot what kind of intents are irrelevant, and he shouldn't even answer to those intents. So I have two ways of versions to do so. I won't explain how to to do it, but you can do it like, let's say from the try it. If you want to do it by yourself, let's say the schedule vaccine, and if I will just mark it as irrelevant, as you can see here, so I can just make it to the irrelevance detection. If I will do this, you won't find this kind of intent because it's irrelevant for you. So I won't do this because I want to find this kind of intent, but this is something that you can use, and I will show you how you can use it also for the user conversation that you are having. So it's not only for the try out part here, it can be also for the users. So I'll show you it in a second. And also the intent detection, there is enhanced version and classic version. There a way to understand customer intent with greater accuracy. If you know how to, you can use this for your own needs. If you need to like greater accuracy for yourself, I won't explain much about this, but you can read more about how it works. But let me go about disaggregation. What it means? It means that if Victor showed you that if I ask something that can be related to many intents, okay, not just for one intent, and the chatbot, I'm not sure which intent I should use for this, for what I said. So if I will turn on the disaggregation, so I can use a message that I want to tell him, like, did you mean this kind of topics? How many suggestions that I want to give the user, like the maximum will be 5 if I want more, and how it will work. Let me refresh the session here. Now I have the disaggregation on. Let's say that I just write symptoms. I hope it will work. I'm not sure, I didn't try it before. No, it's not no. What should work? Let me try and figure out what should work here for a second. Let's just write COVID. Because COVID, you can find on many different intents. And I can ask what is COVID, which is one intent, export employees, or none of the above. Because if I wrote, it's just a word, but let's say it's a full sentence, and this sentence doesn't make sense for the assistant, or it's not enough relevant to the specific intent, and he is not enough confident for a specific intent. So I can, let's say I choose the what is COVID. So this is the question that I will ask now, and it will give me the information about COVID. So this is what the disaggregation part does. It helps the user make sure he gets the answers he's looking for. Because if I'm not sure enough which intent I'm using, I better ask the user what he is looking for in order to make sure we get the right answer. So this is something cool to also use. Let's go and do the webhook part, which is also a really, really great one. And I will need for that, I will go back to the tutorial. Remember, this is tutorial that we made, that we started with. I told everything is here. Now we need some parts from this tutorial. So if you don't know how to get it, I explain again. The tutorial is just on the GitHub link that I showed you at the beginning. So if you click on the GitHub link, you will be moved to the tutorial right here, tutorial link. You'll be moved to this page, and I will use some information from here. And of course, I will paste just the important information to the chat. So you don't need to worry, you will be able to get everything, even if you don't find it on the tutorial here. But I will use it for make sure I'm not doing any mistakes, because it's important, because if you do any mistake here, you won't be able to understand what you did wrong, and you want to make sure that you are not doing this as well. So what we will integrate the chatbot with? Okay, we want to integrate the chatbot with an extra data. I have enough intents, I have enough entities, I have my dialogue, but I can't give all the data by myself. I want to use external resources. Let's use some of these resources can be news, like news from website, like the CNN or whatever it is that I have. And this I can use the discovery service that I created before, if you remember. I can use the COVID API worldwide. There is an API for COVID, which is free. You can just click on it. If I click on it, you will see. This is the COVID API, free API data for coronavirus. If you will use it, you will be able to get information about almost everything, almost concur. I'm not sure if it's like update daily or weekly, but it give you a very fairly good information about what's going on with COVID around the world. So we will use it as well. And also we can use the weather company data if you want to add some weather information to it. So in this, we won't use the weather part. We just will use the first two parts, the water discovery and the COVID API. So how I defined, I said I want to use webhooks. And I want to define a webhook and make sure that I can connect everything together with some kind of, I would say it's called application, serverless application. It's some kind of a function. I will explain everything in a few seconds. The first thing that he told me to do, I want to copy some credentials from the discovery service. So what I need to do, I will use, let me open the cheat sheet that I have, because this is very important now, and I want to use the cheat sheet now. This is here. So copy and replace the credentials below. So we have here the credentials for the cloud functions. I will explain what is cloud functions in a second. We have the discovery API key. So I will show you where you get the key. We have the URL for discovery instance. I will show you how to get the URL. And we have the discovery news credentials, which always the same. So you can just keep it as it is. It will be the same for you as well. Okay. Optional, if you would like the weather company, I won't do it, but you can, if you would like, you can use the API key. And we will show you what is the webhook URL at the end. I will show you how to get it. So let's just keep it open. The information here is not correct, as you can see here, just an example. But also this one is just an example of a URL. It's not the correct one. I will show you how you get the right one for yourself. So I go back to the cloud and to the discovery service. If you don't remember how to go back, just go to the cloud.ibm.com and go to the discovery service that you created. If you didn't, it might take you a few more minutes. So you can do as you wish. And as you can see here, after I click the discovery service, I can copy the API key and the URL. So the API key is what I need to use here, the API key of the discovery service. And I have the URL here, just copy it as well. And I will have the URL of the discovery service. And what I need them for, I need those two in order to make sure I can authenticate to the service and get the information that I need. Okay, so this is how I do it outside of the application, outside of the discovery, not using the UI. Okay, using some kind of application. So this is what I need. This is the information. And I just want to show you what is the discovery service, because this is a service like the Watson Assistant, that just do a different thing. It's also based on AI and machine learning. And it's basically what it does, this service, it's give you the ability to search and do some search engine basically service that give you the ability to import your own documents, your own HTML websites or like PDFs, whatever that you like to use. You can upload everything, or if you like to give him some links to pages, and you can crawl over some URL, do many things that you like to search for, like gather information to search on top of this information in natural language. This is the most important thing. You basically, what you do, you give him the information, he indexes all the information you give him. You can, of course, help him by giving him a specific type of keywords and specific type of relations, and explain to him and annotate and do some kind of action that will make him give us better results. But of course, he can do it without you. So let's see. Yeah, I see there is a question in the chat. It's for you, Christian. So take it. but I will continue. So as I said, we have the discovery service. So if I click on the launch discovery service, like I did on the Watson Assistant, it will basically redirect me to the UI, and I can, by looking at the UI, you can see it's really, really similar to the Watson Assistant. If you take the Assistant service, you see it's really, really similar. It's basically the same UI. The difference is the discovery do one thing, and the assistant do another thing. Discovery is a search engine. The assistant is a chatbot engine. So it's a bit different. So, and what we will use today, we will use something that we call Watson Discovery News. Basically, this workspace, we call it workspace, but it doesn't really matter for you now. This workspace basically have almost 24 million types of documents from all around the world. Most of them are in English, other in Spanish and German. There are many different type of languages that you know, okay? Those documents basically are websites. Most of them are really big news websites around the world. So it takes all of the information from every website and gather it here, so I can search on top of those news. So if I would like to search about COVID news, let's say I will try to search about Delta, the new COVID, Delta COVID, I will space. So if I want to check about this one, I will ask and try to find any news about the Delta COVID. So we will try to do it live with you in a second, of course. I read a question in the chat, 1 second. Okay, it's just the answer to this. Okay, great. And so I will use this one, this discovery service, basically to try to find more information about COVID that I don't have on my chatbot. And also, as I said before, you remember that you have some kind of collection ID and environment ID on the cheat sheet. You can see it here. So it's the same always for the news. It's always the same. Okay, news EN and system. It will be always the same for everyone. The difference will be the API key and the URL for each one of us that created a different service. So I want to add one more thing, short and long tail questions. And why I want to show you this one, because this is a very important one. And also why I'm doing what I'm doing now. So there are a difference between short questions and long questions, okay? Short questions are like usually 1 word or 2 to 3 word phrases. And most of the time, we will use them more often, okay? But there is like, I would say that there is a lot of documents and tutorial, I would say, articles about what is better for you to use, what do you want to focus as a company. Let's say I'm a company that want to earn and make a lot of money with low risk and low costs for myself. So I want to try, and if I use some search engine for the users or a chatbot or something, I want to be able to give them both the words of answer the short phrases questions or the long one. But I know that the long phrases question will probably convert to more successful sales, or there is a lot of articles behind it, but what I want to tell you that I want to use both of the words. I want to also be able to answer short questions and also be able to answer long tail questions. So there is if you want to read more about this, you are welcome. But why I explain this? Because in IBM, we use both Watson Discovery for the long tail questions and Watson Assistant for the short tail questions, okay? So I can use both of those services to be able to make this complete service for my customer, okay? So under a chatbot service, let's say. So just want to mention that also before we continue to the next step. So what is the next step? We have the discovery service ready. We have the Watson Assistant service that already we play with a bit, and I want to connect between those two. now I do this connection, okay? I will use something that we call functions. I'm not sure that you know what is function in IBM Cloud. I'll try to explain briefly, but as you can see, if you go to the cloud.ibm.com and go to the navigation menu on the left side, you can see there is something called functions here. So functions are basically a set of actions that we can use to call a specific part of code. It doesn't matter if it's a Python code or Node.js or I don't know, Java, whatever that you would like to use. There are many different types of code that you can use. And I can use these functions to be able to connect using those part of codes to connect the Watson assistant to the discovery. So each time my Watson assistant will recognize that I want to search something on discovery, he will call this function, and this function will make a query to the discovery and give me back the query and the result of the queries. So how I create a function, how I create this action. So if I go, as I said, navigation menu, you click on the functions here and click on actions, you will be redirected to this page. And I have an arrow. Why I have an arrow? Let's load it again. Oh, something weird in my computer probably, but let's create an action. Okay, I have no action right now. You shouldn't have it as well. So I will create an action and I can name it whatever. I can like Watson connection just for the we connect Watson assistant to discovery. So doesn't really matter. And I want to use the right, see you have like a runtime of Node.js, Python, Ruby, Swift, PHP, Go. You can use other languages, but this is the default ones. If you have Java, .NET, or Docker, you can use other packages to use if you would like. But I will use Node.js for this one. And just click create. And basically what I did, you see, I have a piece of code here that I will change in a second. I will paste something else, and I will add some parameters on the left side. I will create an endpoint, and this function will be ready to use by the Watson assistant and connect to the discovery. It will be really, it should be simple. It's a bit complicated because you need to understand what you are doing, and I will try to explain everything during the session, during the session that we are doing now. So, as I said, what we need to replace the function, because this is a simple function. What we are doing here, we have a main function which get parameters. So these parameters will come from the Watson assistant. It's kind of type of a JSON file, and it can have information about what the user asks for. So we will move it from the Watson assistant to here. And then we will have to do a lot of code in order to connect to the Watson discovery. If needed, also the COVID API. Also, we have the COVID API, free API that we also can connect to him. So there are many different things we can do inside the code and how we can get the code. So if I go to the tutorial and I scroll down a bit till I get to this point, you see, we create a function here, the same way that we created here in my live part. So replace the code with the action COVID.js from here. So let me just copy and paste it on the chat. If anyone will need, you have it on the chat. This is the function code. So you have it, and you can just copy and paste it like this. I won't go over all of this, but I will go over the main parts of the function. Okay, just to make sure we understand what we are doing. So as you can see here, we have, doesn't really matter the variables on the top or whatever that I configure it. It doesn't really matter. The main function is here, and I start from the main function. This is what's important for us for now. And of course, click save, just to make sure it's saved. And I have the main function as well with params. If the params have the type API, the chatbot will send type of API. So it means that I want to get information about the API from COVID API world. This is something that we from the chatbot mention that the type is API, not the user. We as a programmers add the type API. I will show you where we put it, and it will call the API section, and this section will be give us information about a location, specific location, and if we have a specific location, as you can see here, it can also give us the information about the specific location. If it's like from UK or whatever that you are, you can ask for a specific location. And there is some if and queries and for whatever that he needs to do in the code to give us the right information. And basically, it will return something that the total cases in this and deaths and recovered by the source of this and this. So this is something that we get as an answer. This is what we will return to the Watson assistant. And if you can see this else is related to the type API. So if we call this function without any type, like the type is not API, so you want to use a discovery service. So this is how we use, there is something here. We can use a discovery service and get some, we use some random integer because we won't get, we will get from our search, we will get a lot of articles and we want to get a random 3 or 4, I don't remember which one we want to get, but we want to get the whole articles about the COVID. We'll get some kind of random amount, and it will result the result of here are some news articles we found. So, and we will print everything, of course, that we found to the chat in the chatbot. So let's go one by one. Okay, so after I paste the code, I need to add some parameters, which are from the cheat sheet that I showed you. So let's add them now. How I do it, I just add parameter. I go to the cheat sheet, I copy the API key as it is. I paste it here. I copy the right side, I paste it here. If I do it too quick, so I'm sorry, but tell me, I will slow down. But it's really simple, just copy and paste the parameters and the value of the parameters using the quotes. It's really important to use those quotes at the start and in the beginning and the end. And all the time you add more parameters from here. We need total of 4. Okay, we have the collection ID and we have the environment ID. Those all parameters that we need to connect to the Watson Discovery Service. That's all we need, because we don't need to connect to the Watson Assistant because we are using the Watson Assistant. We need to connect from the Assistant to the Discovery. And for that, we need the API key for the Discovery Service. So this is why we don't need to put here the parameter for the Assistant service, just to the Discovery Service. So after I made these changes, I added all the parameters I need. So now, whenever this function, this code, when we want to get access to Discovery, you can see it here, params.api key, params.url, and params.env.id, and params.collection ID. All of these parameters are already here, and you just take them from the environment variables that you have. So this is something that I created. Now I want to create an endpoint, which basically will make my function available publicly. I want to make, this is for the sake of the training, but I want to make sure it's privately and use API key and be secure in how I can connect to this function, but I can also make it publicly, so everyone can connect to this function by just using it as an API call. So I will use this because it's not a really big problem for me today. And how I can use it, when I enable as a web action, when I click on this one, basically what I'm going to do, going to create an HTTP method with an URL that can be connected publicly to my function. If I want to do it privately, I can just use this URL and use the API key. And where I get the API key, if you click here, you will get the API key. So this is something that we want to do. We use the public one. So if I click, as I said, enable web action, click on save, and now I can copy this URL. And if I will use it, I will be able to call my function here. So in my function, we'll be able to call discovery, and we'll be able to call to the API of the free COVID API. So I will go back and to the Watson Assistant. If you lost and you need to understand how you can go back to the Watson Assistant, so basically you can click here on the cloud.ibm.com, click on the resource list, okay? And from the resource list, you can find the service, the Watson Assistant. And from the Watson Assistant, you can click on the UI that will show you in a second, launch Watson Assistant, and then I have the UI, and that's it. I'm here. Now this is my my assistant that I made before. So how I can connect the assistant to the URL that I showed you before. So I need to go to the skills. You can see the skills here, and go to the COVID skill that I made before. And in the options, we have the webhooks. Okay, webhooks are basically how I can connect to a third party application from the assistant. So I just paste the endpoint URL, and I need to add at the end .json. It's really, really important because I pass a JSON, to the URL, to the function. And this is very important. And by using this, I also can add headers and add authorization method if I'm using a private one. If I will use the private one, I can use headers and authorization key to use it privately. But because it's publicly, I don't need it, and everyone can use it. So I just paste it here, and now I have a webhook that every time that I will use it, and I will send information to this webhook, my chatbot basically will activate the function and the action that I just created, and will be able to call some external service. So let's try it. And how I want to try it, let's go to dialog. And you can see here, we have the API part. There is a folder here with nodes. And I want to check if the webhooks now works. And how I do it, when I click on the node, you can see the webhook URL is configured, okay? So this is what you need to see. If you see it with the green arrow, that means that the webhook is great and it's connected. And if you don't see it, you can go to the customize and call out to webhooks, make sure it's on. This is also something that you can do. If it's on off, it's a problem. It won't be able to call to the webhook. So this is how I make sure it's turned on. And as you can see here, when I call to the, let's start from the beginning. I ask how many cases. So I get the intent, how many cases. If I recognize this intent, I want to add parameter type API. You remember this API from the code? So this is how I insert a parameter. And if I insert the parameter API, I send this parameter call to the webhook with this parameter. The parameter will be inside the JSON itself. So this is how I use this as a parameter in the functions. So let's try it out. Let's ask how many cases. It's very, very simple. And after I get this, you see, this is all the confirmed cases I have found. The total cases, this is the number of total cases all over the world. This is the number of deaths all over the world and number of recovered all over the world. And this source is by Johns Hopkins University, somewhere in the US, I think, I don't really remember. But this is the information that we got all around the world. So, and it asked me, it would like to, the stats of a specific location. So I'll tell him yes, and reply yes. You see, he found irrelevant intent, but he found the entity yes. So he used the entity to give me what location you would like to get the stats for. So I live in Israel, so let's try it for Israel. And then I will get total cases that we have here is under 1 million. Total death is about 6,500. And we have a lot of recovered as well. And this is basically by this same source. So what he did, he called to the webhook that we had. This webhook called to the API. And the API give us information related to what we asked for. So, and if you remember, let's say let's go to the location. Let's go here, and you can see it. If we reply yes, as we did when we asked about a specific location, so check for a specific what is location you are looking for. I can also already give him the location. If I will tell him yes and the location itself, it will just take the location and deliver it to the webhook as well with the API type and the location. And then I will get the answer for the location. This is how we are doing it over here. Another thing that we can do, we can get the latest news on COVID. This is the part when you call the webhooks for the Watson Discovery service. So this is a different part. How we do it. So if we ask about news for coronavirus, if we will ask for it, it just will send the webhook and give us the result. We just made it very simple and we won't be able to search a specific news. I thought it can be more complex, but it seems like I can't really look for a specific complex news or like asking for a Delta part of the COVID or whatever. I can just asking for news for COVID. But of course, if I want, I can make it a bit more complex and add a specific variables and values that I would like to search on the news for what I'm looking for. As you can see here, it wasn't really sure when I said news for COVID, what is COVID or latest news, and I want the latest news. So it will get to this node. This node should go to the webhook and go to the discovery service and give me information. It should take less time, but as you all know, in live demonstrations, sometimes there are some errors and mistakes. So let's try it again. Let me close this one. And I just need to clear. I think there is some problem with the web call. Let's try it again. Latest news about COVID. No, why don't, let's try. Let's try latest news. What I'm doing wrong, 1 second, let me check. News coronavirus, okay, it's news coronavirus. Let's try news coronavirus. Oh, there are only 4, this is bad. This is why probably it's not working, but latest news about COVID, it should be 5. I don't know why it's 4, but it's okay. Now I added the new sentence about latest news. See, once I add something to the intent, Watson is doing some training behind the scene because you need to retrain about this example. It's not just, as I said, it's not just copy paste to the values. It's really a machine learning model behind it. Let's clear it and ask for latest news about COVID. And it should find it. And if you won't give us a result, there is probably some error in the webhook, in my webhook, but it happens sometimes. Maybe I did something wrong. I hope I didn't, but let's try. Let's go to the functions, to the action. I'm trying to just try to figure out why it went wrong. Sometimes it happens. It's okay. Let's try to invoke. Missing API key. Oh, I did something with the API key parameter. What I did wrong. Let's check. I think someone played with it. The API key. Missing API key. Something with the API key. I'm not sure what it is with the API key, but let's try to change. Maybe I have some, API key. No, it's the same. Maybe I have some space. I don't know, not sure. API key should be like this. It's weird. Probably something a bit change maybe in the service or something in the code. But let's assume it should work because it should. I don't know why it's not. Something in the code probably is having some problems. Yeah, something about the API key on the discovery. So I'm sorry about that. I need time to make sure why it happens. So I will try to fix it and of course give you. I will try to make when I fix it. I will try to put it on the GitHub, so we will have another file here with the right code. So it's just about something that they probably changed on the discovery service, and now the API key need to be set in a different way or use it in a different way. So I really can't help you with this. Turn it on and off again. No, it won't help. I think API key instead. I can try it. Yeah, I can try. Not sure it will. And I tell you why I don't think it's this API key. It should be with an underscore because when I ask for the API key here, it's with the underscore. So I'm not sure it will give me the same. But let's try. I think it will be the same error. And now we have some error in the code, something not related to you, and it can happen. It can really happen. Same thing. Object just if I will just read a bit more about why it happens, I can just fix it. But we don't have the time now, at least to fix it. And actually, I want to give you some time to ask some questions if you have, because you didn't. I see. Yeah, I'll try to fix it and I'll send you a new working one on the GitHub, and I hope it will work. Of course, I will make sure it will work. It's not a problem. I will do it I'm not sure if I will be able to do it today, but by tomorrow I will be able to make sure you will have this one working. So it will be on the GitHub. So if you would like, just go to the GitHub and you will see it by tomorrow, the fixed code. So I'm sorry about that. Nothing I can do. I thought, you see, this code it's not my code, someone else's, because those who made this, but I can fix, it's not a problem. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm sure that you understand the power of the COVID and the power of the chatbots and discovery together, and how we can mix and combine those things together. If you want to just we can do example of discovery itself without the assistant. Let's go just for the matter of showing you the discovery service, because we didn't see it working, because I was sure that it will work from the chatbot itself. So basically what we should get from the discovery service is something like this. Let me show you in a second. I will go there. Let's go here. Let's do a query. Latest news about COVID. And when I search, basically what it will happen, it will search news of COVID-19 on the discovery service. And you can see there are so many matching documents, and it will try to give me the most latest and most accurate news. It will give me the link to the news, like we have it on the big news network. This is a website that you can get news, latest count of COVID cases worldwide, and to give you just a lot of information about COVID. And this is why the random number take place in the code itself. But as you can see here, there are many news. It's not really accurate. It's not really something that we might not looking for, but you can make sure that if you would like, you can train this service, this discovery service, and make sure you can build more specific queries and give more specific results for the user search. Because this is really, it's a big open question. Latest things about COVID-19. It's something that you can give so much information about, which none of the information will be accurate enough for what I ask. So it will be accurate because this is the latest news. But if I'm looking for a more specific thing, I can search for like the Delta. Let's try Corona virus delta. Let's try about the delta. Let's see what result we get. Oh, so you have the dose with alpha coronavirus, beta coronavirus, delta coronavirus, and gamma. I don't know what it is really, from where it is. This is from the new trace. Okay. There are also the new variant. Oh, this is one that I would like to get because this is what I'm looking for. I probably should also say the new variant of coronavirus or something like this, but also data. This is some information about the new variant of coronavirus found on Vietnam as part of the Indian Delta strain, and yada yada. In a lot of information, we have the link. So you see, if I like search long, this is a bit short, but if I will search long tail questions, queries that should be for searching on top of documents, I will get a lot of information from this service. So this is what the service should benefit us. And you can also, if you would like, if you create, this is Watson Discovery News, it's trained by IBM, but if you would like, you can upload your own data, you can connect it to the data source that you have and build your own queries and annotate your own documents. And make it more, I would say, more customized for your domain, for your solution. So this is great as well. Basically, this is what I wanted to do here today. I'm already speaking for like 1.5 hours, and I see that some of you are following me, which is great, and I'm really happy about this. And I hope you had a great time and understand something more and new. But if you have any question, guys, please go ahead, put them in the chat. I thought that will be a bit more questions, but it's okay. Sometimes, if not, I'm a great teacher because like everything is clear and I'm happy and proud about myself. But if just there are some questions about the service, about anything else you would like to ask, feel free. And if not, so thank you very much for being here.